Welcome to Let's Be Well Together podcast. We're your wellness check-in team. Join us each week or when you can. We enjoy exploring wellness concepts and reminding you to make time for wellness.
This is episode 107. Welcome to another episode of Let's Be Well Together podcast. It's Sheila here with Noura Saad. Welcome.
Hi, Sheila.
Now, today we're going to just talk a little bit about her, and she can tell us about her life and her experiences and just let us get to know you a little bit.
Yeah.
So why don't we start with your name? She just told me something really interesting. So
yeah,
go ahead.
I was just going to say my, Saad is a lot of people when I'm growing up were like, why are you so sad? And I'm like, it's actually funny because in Arabic, it means happiness and prosperity. It's a shorter word from the word Saeed, which is basically happy.
In
Arabic.
And that's where you're from.
I'm Egyptian.
Egyptian.
Yes.
Amazing. So you were actually born, though, in Canada. So tell us a little bit about that history.
Yeah, born in May 1994 on the Danforth, which I think, it always comes back to the Mediterranean because I'm from Alexandria, Egypt, which is north.
Right.
So right on the Mediterranean. So I'm like, even when I'm not born in my own country, I'm still linked to some form of Mediterranean heritage.
Okay.
Because Danforth is Greek town. But so born there, and then my mom and I, we lived there for a bit, and then we went back to Egypt.
Okay.
And then I did some schooling there when I was really little.
Okay.
And then we came back. My mom remarried, so we went back again. So it was kind of back and forth for a bit.
Okay.
And then we came back here. We lived in Georgetown for a year, which was so
interesting.
different.
Yes, like Georgetown is such a small,
it was
remote area.
Yeah. I did enjoy it. I miss that small town feel where everyone knew each other, and the hiking there was really great. But yeah, so lived there for a year. Then we moved to Oakville.
Nice, which is like north to south, but very similar personalities. Same, not similar size. I think Oakville's larger than
bigger. Yes, yeah, but I think it's Halton Hills too. So comparing it to a Georgetown, it's definitely
that's
bigger.
true.
We were there for a bit, finished high school, and then we moved to Mississauga, and then I came here for university. And
here, as in Kitchener-Waterloo.
Waterloo. Yeah.
Oh, you went to the University of Waterloo.
Yeah. And so I had applied to Guelph. Guelph was actually my first university I wanted to go to. We toured it. And when I got accepted into Waterloo, I was like, all right, let's go. So I moved here. I started off doing sexuality, marriage, and family studies. And then as I was doing that, my interest changed and I went into social development studies.
Okay.
Finished that. And then, here I am.
Here you are. And so now tell us what you do.
I am a family court support worker with the Sexual Assault Support Center, Waterloo Region.
Which is right in your wheelhouse. In the degree, right?
Actually, the reason why I switched to social development studies is because I wanted to do my master's, then to do law school and become a family lawyer. So as I was doing that, I was like, studying was not my biggest pursuit, not going to lie.
Yeah, some people love it. Some people it's tough, right?
So finished that, and then here I am. But to kind of still be in that same world, I'm very grateful. And
Right, and you work half time at the office and half at home. You've got that little hybrid going on. That's very nice. And you live in the Kitchener-Waterloo area now.
I've been here now for 10 years, and the city has grown like. Since 2012, this place has grown exponentially, even just seeing the LRT come in and seeing all the different, restaurants even that we have now compared to when I first moved here. I'm very, very happy.
Yes, because we definitely have that experience. John and I, we've been here now for 10 years, but both of us grew up here. Yes. John, Waterloo, me in Kitchener. And so when we left and then came back, probably 15, 20 years later, the difference in the city between then and now is just unbelievable. And then we have been here when the LRT has been developed and started. So just to see that, and I think it's going to be going even up from there.
Even up from there, yes.
Yes, it's going to be a whole new city in 10 more years. Absolutely. So very much more multicultural than it used to be.
Yep.
So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Not only because you're meeting all these different people in different religions, you're getting different foods.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And getting different, opinions. And that's really cool because you do get that in Toronto.
Yep. you'd have to drive to, like, even for us, my mom and I would drive to Brampton just to get good Indian food. And now we don't have to do it. I mean, we'll still go, but not as often as because we have the restaurants here.
Yeah. So it's just really developed. Yeah. Well, that is awesome. So it's so great that you joined the podcast. You are a podcast junkie? Are you?
I am. I've been listening to podcasts for a long time. I was mentioning earlier, like, listening to Ed Milet and all the interviews that he's done over the years with, you know, many, many different people. I always speak highly about David Goggins. He's one of my favorite coaches, and, you know, the life that he's lived, just listening to him, and then everyone else in between. There's so many podcasts nowadays, so there's something for everyone, you know, and sometimes driving, you don't want to be left with your thoughts, so put on a podcast.
Yes. So what kind of genre podcast do you listen to the most?
Probably self-development.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. Yeah. So I actually really like crime.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, yes. So I started out with true crime and serial. I don't know if you've heard that. Yeah. So this is mainly my daughter who is like, Mom, you should listen to this. But I do really like these true crimes. Yeah. I don't know why, but so that is kind of my genre. Yes. Right. And then I listen to the wellness podcast too. And so there's
so many.
So many.
Yeah. Even the scary ones, like going into haunted places.
Yeah. You get the most bizarre, you know, and then the comedy ones. And everybody's got a podcast. So it's so great that you joined us.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
So just to finish here on what's on your mind, let's ask you what you're hoping to get out of the podcast, or what you're hoping to bring to the podcast.
I think just building more community. I think it's so important. I was mentioning how here in KW, we have such a great community. We're not as big as, say, some of the more like GTA cities. So yeah, just building community and sharing, you know, experiences and people's different, like contributing and listening to people's different ideas of what wellness is. I soak all that stuff up. So I'm just so excited to be a part of it.
That is great. Well, welcome to the team.
Guests are giving their time, expanding our minds. Today's interview is in the category of physical wellness. We recently interviewed breast cancer survivor Ellyn Winters Robinson about how it felt to receive the diagnosis. A key theme in our show is the importance of physical health, getting and staying healthy by nutritious food, exercise, and more. So today we chat with Ellyn about how overall health made a big difference to her when she faced the cancer diagnosis. Welcome back, Ellyn.
Well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Ellyn is a recent breast cancer survivor, co-creator of www.askellyn.ai, and that's ELLYN, a breast cancer chatbot, and the world's first conversational AI for those on the breast cancer journey. She's also the author of the best-selling book, Flat Please, Hold the Shame, a girlfriend's companion guide for those on the breast cancer journey, available for purchase on Amazon. For the last 15 years, Ellyn has been the co-founder and chief marketing officer of Ignition Communications, a boutique marketing communications firm, and a longtime mentor at the Accelerator Center. Ellyn's story has been featured on numerous podcasts, People Magazine, The Globe and Mail, CTV, and Global. Now, the critical importance of health. Ellyn told me that it was a game changer for her, and I'd like to ask about that. So, Ellyn, can you tell us about your approach to physical health over the years before the diagnosis? I understand that you enjoyed exercise.
I did, absolutely. It is important to me physically, but also to mentally. And I have exercised for probably the last 30 years, a combination of things, strength building, cardio, you name it. I really have engaged in it all. So when I entered into my cancer diagnosis, I was in probably one of the best conditions of my life.
What kind of stuff do you like? So are you kind of a gym rat? Do you work out at home? Do you do a mix?
Because of COVID, I started working out at home. I used to be a gym rat. I was a good life girl. And then I went to a smaller studio that did a lot of strength and movement. Once COVID hit, I ended up at home. And I have a Peloton bike, and then I have the Peloton app. And so I use the Peloton app for many different things, bar, Pilates, strength, and cardio.
Do you like doing things like yoga? Do you like doing things like classes?
I love yoga, and I also love to walk.
Oh, I love walking.
Absolutely. I'm a power walker. So keep up with me. I am the girl that walks almost at the pace of a run.
And do you do it on sidewalks? Do you do it in trails?
Mostly sidewalks. I've kind of got a route that I follow and, do the whole arm swinging kind of power walking, sucking in the gut kind of thing.
So you were doing all this stuff before your diagnosis and you were feeling great?
Yeah. Felt great. Had no indication. There was no physical indication there was anything wrong at all.
Now, sometimes I've heard people say, aha, you can be in the best health of your life and you still get sick. So it was all a big waste of time. That's not my belief. I love doing all that stuff because it makes me feel amazing. And so that means I had amazing years behind me where I was doing all kinds of great stuff and walking and all that. But more importantly for today's show, you feel that had an impact on getting through the cancer.
1,000%. I would say that there's a lot of people who will believe, and I mean, there is scientific evidence that says that people who are not healthy will get cancer. But I want to say that people that are healthy get cancer. But 1,000%, the more healthy you are, the more you are prepared to be able to handle that cancer diagnosis and whatever comes after that.
When you say that, prepared, are you thinking mentally, physically, both?
Both. Yeah, absolutely. I was just down at my osteopath today and he said, you are as tough as nails. And so there's a mental resilience. So the training that an exercise regime gives you, which is, I'm going to push through, I'm going to do that next set, I'm going to push a little bit further, is what you need to get through a cancer diagnosis. So when I was first diagnosed, I used to think to myself, Ellyn, you just have to put your feet on the ground and just keep going. And that's that same mental mindset that it takes to get through that next rep or that next push or the next mile in a run. And then just the physical strength of being able to endure surgery and the various treatments that come after a cancer diagnosis, just to be able to get up and get past the exhaustion and just do what you need to do to get through the day is, I can't even, it is a game changer.
That reminds me too, I started running. So for me, I love long distance running. And then I started to imagine the advantages that I would get out of it. And none of them were this, which I've seen this expression a few times recently, different spins on it, which is teaching you to endure suffering is one of the greatest things that running does, at least long distance. And, it's so true. Like I've had so many experiences where, you just want to quit in a way, but you just don't. And you just say, just keep moving forward, keep one foot in front of the other. And then you're done and you're like, I can't believe I did that. And I can imagine that would help if I need that in that process.
I used to think to myself, like, as I was going through the cancer diagnosis, it was like, it's like being on this, like the world's worst carnival ride. And you're just like, there's no getting off this ride. You just have to like see it through to the end. And that's just how it goes. So it's like running a marathon. It's that moment where you break and you just have to keep pushing through because there's no other choice. There's nothing but the other end.
Yeah, exactly. That you do break and that you recognize it, but you still keep going. And I think a lot of the stuff you focused on are kind of the mental toughness side of it. But I imagine the actual physical health also, when you're going through this, maybe by having that healthy body, you're able to, support the treatment and have more stamina in situations. Were you noticing that?
Yeah, I absolutely did. I had surgery, a double mastectomy chemotherapy and radiation. And, I like to think that I had the full meal deal of treatments, and it sounds hideous, but for me, it was actually not that bad. Within 3 weeks of me having my double mastectomy, which, is a pretty major surgery, I was back doing planks, and even in between that, I was doing walking. And as soon as I was cleared by my surgeon, I was back doing planks and my full weights regime again, like free weights regime with 15 pounds. So I think I was able to bounce back very, very fast after surgery. And then with chemotherapy, I would have a few low days where I would feel a little bit like I was swimming through peanut butter. But I always got out and walked with the dog. And then after a few days, I would be back out walking, power walking 5 or 6K a day. There's lots of empirical evidence, medical evidence that shows that exercise during chemotherapy actually helps to offset the symptoms, because the list of symptoms that they give you when you're in chemotherapy is really hideous. Like neuropathy and brain fog, and obviously everybody knows about the throwing up business, but the neuropathy was very scary for me. The idea of not being able to feel my fingers and my toes was very scary. The idea of not being able to process information and be in a brain fog was very scary for me. So, and I didn't really suffer from any of those symptoms.
I was going to ask about whether you could do any kind of exercise during the treatment. I think you've answered that to a degree. Mm-hmm. And then when you were doing it, were you like, I know I'm just pulling kind of random percentages out of the air, but were you kind of doing your walking at kind of 50%, 70%? Just how did it affect your abilities to exercise?
I would say so I would have my chemotherapy on a Friday, and it would sort of start to hit in terms of fatigue on the Sunday. And it's different. It's when I say fatigue, it's not a tiredness, it's not sleepy. It's more, it really is feeling like you're swimming through peanut butter. And I would have a couple of days where I would feel really slow, but I always got out and walked the dog, always would walk. And by Thursday, so not quite a week after my chemotherapy, I would be back out walking 5 to 6K a day, and I walk fast. So it is entirely possible to exercise during chemo. Absolutely.
And the great news is you're cancer free. How long did it take? As far as I know, yeah. After your last treatment, how long did it take before you felt like you were back to what you could do before? It
was actually, I would say, during the therapies. Really, I didn't really, maybe I'm kind of a bit of a crazy human, but I really didn't feel like I took a hit during my treatment. And I was able to, in fact, during radiation, which a lot of people feel causes them to be very tired, I worked out every day.
Well, I love the idea of thinking about all the amazing things that being physically healthy, all the amazing ways that it helps you in your life. I never imagined this, but what you're saying is, you feel lucky that having worked hard for so long to be physically healthy, it helped you get through this really rough patch.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would strongly recommend everybody, you don't know when a life crisis is going to hit you.
And that's the way I think of it too. Like you do it so that you are ready. And I can even imagine, for example, too, there was a time where I was significantly overweight. And I can imagine if I would have needed surgery, that all that extra weight, the surgeon would have said, you got to lose weight or I can't do it or something to that effect.
Yeah. I mean, that brings up a whole other, sort of takes us back into the past, but I chose when I had my double mastectomy not to go through breast reconstruction, but the fact that I was not overweight at the time really helped with that surgical healing, and also the outcome. I look flat right now. I don't have a lot of residual fat they have to deal with. And that is the case for some women.
Well, we're really glad you got through it, and we're really glad your being physical helped that. And thanks again for your time. So as you know from the last time, we ask every guest the same question in a context where we all have different areas of wellness that are important to us, but not enough time to focus on all of them at any given time. So we do our mini wellness check-in. Are you currently neglecting an area of wellness in your life? And if so, can you think of even one thing you can do to foster wellness in that area?
I think that physical wellness is easy for me. Mental wellness and giving myself the space and the grace to actually like stop and process what I've been through is more of a challenge for me, but I'm working on it. So
the main thing for us is our suggestion is, I think a lot of people think of wellness as kind of a hard to grasp concept. They don't know where to start. And we like to think about something you're missing, some area that's not doing great, and think about something practical. What is an actual activity you can do? Why not start there and do that? So hopefully
So I've been doing a lot of somatic movement lately. I've been doing a lot of meditation lately. I have an appointment booked with the trauma counselor. So just all of that mental release, seeing an osteopath to make sure the body is in alignment. I mean, all of these things are important, right?
What is somatic?
It's related to yoga. It's a movement that kind of connects to your emotional center. And so it causes a lot of it acknowledges the tension that you're going through and then asks you to release it. So I've been doing some somatic movement around my spine lately. You look like a wiggly arm waving guy, just kind of waving around. But the idea is just really to release all this trauma that sits inside your body.
Okay, well, I'll have to look that up. Well, thanks, Ellyn. You've done 2 interviews with us, and it's been great to hear about your experiences, and thank you so much for sharing.
I'm Cameron, and welcome to another installment of the Adventures of the Starving Artist. So this week, among other cool things, I got to do some really fun stuff with my day job at Rockstar Music. And I'm not talking about, interviews and paperwork and blah, 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 blah. I'm talking about actually fun musical stuff, beyond the scope of just a one-on-one lesson. This week, I got to run 2 group courses in partnership with a Kannada Montessori. One of them is the African drumming course, where we get to play djembes and explore rhythm and beats, playing in different groups, and also a group ukulele course. Here's where it gets really fun, though. The first one, the drumming course, was for ages 6-ish, or 4-ish to 6-ish, so like the little tykes, and we had an absolute blast. Pro tip: if you're ever working with loud instruments like that and a group of youngsters, the very first thing you should teach them is rest position, which is the super secret special move that you'll do so that nobody plays the drum when you're trying to talk. For me, it was like clapping my hands up over my head like a big circle, like YMCA, except it was an O. And as soon as they clued into that, it was awesome. It made for a great game. But we had a lot of fun. I got to teach them about the djembe, the different sounds we can get from the djembe, different basic rhythms. We even played with things like attaching language to the rhythm. So we might play on the drum something that matches the syllables to I like pizza pops or something, right? So we went around the circle and everyone would tell me, their favorite food was chocolate ice cream. I like chocolate ice cream. And we'd play it on the drums together. Really fun stuff. It's nice to see the little guys sort of let loose a bit and get to explore music in a way that's totally open, but with just enough structure that they can actually walk away with some cool skills. Then the next day, at the same place, for a slightly older group of kids, I got to run a smaller, but mightier, ukulele group, the Ukulele Club, and it was their very first time playing ukulele for some of them, so, we went over basic things like these are the parts of the ukulele and these little tuning pegs kind of look like ears. And, well, you wouldn't like it if someone came over and twisted your ears all over, so we're not going to touch the tuning pegs. You get the idea. But I was pretty excited because despite it being a room of beginners, by the time I left that 1-hour session, everyone in that room knew the names of the strings, the parts of the ukulele, and how to play a chord. So we were all strumming along together, and it was pretty awesome. Like I said, group instruction is not something I do very frequently. More often than not, I'm the guy lining up those group instruction classes and then putting a teacher in that position. But it was a nice change of pace for me to get right in there and do it. Really fun stuff. Moving forward through the week, I hand that particular group, or those 2 groups, off to another one of my teachers, and that frees me up to go see if I can line up some more other places. So wish me luck, and I'll keep you in the loop. But for now, that's all I've got for you. I hope you're having a fabulous week and keeping warm out there. I'm Cameron. This is The Starving Artist. Until next time.
We don't have any ads yet, and that's on purpose. We're sharing stories and experiences to give back, to inspire, and get people talking about wellness. 2 quick points. My personality is to present things in a progression. Once I cover a point, I often don't go back to it. If you want to see the whole picture about wellness I'm trying to paint, listen to all our episodes from the start. Second, it's costly to put out a podcast. You can help me defray that cost by buying my book, Accidentally Well by John Webster. It's available on Amazon, Indigo, or anywhere you buy books online. Please consider buying a copy.
Move that body like we're meant to do.
Hello, everyone. It's Elise Seifert here with Julie Wilson.
Hey, Elise. How are you?
I am excellent. So
Good.
Today, Julie, we're going to be talking about the great debate, AM or PM workouts.
What a great topic.
We're going to be focusing on a social media post that we found at gym_prime on Instagram. And it is listing different ideas or benefits of working out at night versus the morning. So when we're looking at working out at night, some of the benefits include relieves stress, cooler temperature, peaceful atmosphere, and more likely to skip.
And for workouts in the morning, some of the benefits: fresh start to the day, less crowded environment, boosts energy levels, warmer temperature. So based on that, Elise, I'm going to ask you, what do you prefer, or what fits best in your schedule?
My current schedule, what fits best for me is a morning workout. I think in my job, so I work as a kindergarten teacher, I'm on my feet a lot. I exert a lot of energy, I find, throughout my school day. So if I save it for the nighttime, I am more likely to skip it because I'm too tired. Whereas a morning workout allows me to start off the day in a good headspace. It allows me to increase my energy levels, and then I can get going with my day. And then when I'm done with my work day, I've done all of the hard parts of my day and I just get to relax.
That's awesome. Now,
how about you?
Yeah. I was just going to say that my current schedule, I'm more of a night person. I just find I get focused on my work, which I should take more breaks, but I get focused on my work during the day and I get an early start, work. And then it's like, oh, I need to go for a walk or I need to lift some weights. And so it ends up being at nighttime, which in turn, and I think they talked about boosts energy levels in the morning, right? But that can happen at night too. So it boosts your energy level at night. And so then it becomes a little more difficult to fall asleep, which is problematic. So if I had a preference, I would say exercise in the morning, but my current schedule, it's at night. And I must say, I know when I was living in Ottawa that when I would wake up and walk to work, so I would I lived in the Glebe area and I worked on the hill, and I would walk every day to work, and it was just the best in terms of what you said, just energizing and nourishing your brain for the start of the day. But equally, and I work long hours there too, the walk home at night was so refreshing to clear your head. And that was the biggest bonus I found about nighttime walking home, was just that clearing your head from the end of the day. So that was sort of a balance of morning and night.
That sounds amazing. I think that's kind of the best way to go. You get the benefits of both.
Yes. And I always say now, I wish I could walk to work and home again, but I'm a little 45 minutes from work by car, so
a little too far.
It's to walk.
But it is a lovely practice. Right? I know we also did a little bit of research with a few articles through Times Magazine, Forbes Magazine, and Colorado State University. And the sense I got from all of these articles, which just talk about pros or cons between working out in the morning and the evening, is that whatever works best for your schedule is what you should hope to do. So if you find that you're an early riser and you like to work out in the morning, then that's great. That works for you. If you find that you like to be someone who stays up a little later, then nighttime workouts might be your jam. And that's okay.
I think that's a great message for this segment, that no matter what time, just getting out and moving your body is the message.
There's a thought. Popped up while running. Today's treadmill run was another example of something I've talked about lots of times, which is doing something is better than doing nothing. In the last few weeks, I've gotten back to the treadmill, and I always find it hard to get back onto the treadmill after running outside for the summer and fall season. It feels hard for some reason. You have to get used to going at the same speed when you're out for a run on the path. You can slow down, speed up. It's hot, a whole bunch of stuff. Knowing that, I build my intervals back up. This year, I decided on one day of the week, I want to do 8 intervals. So there's a warm up and then 8 intervals of 200 meters. So go really fast for 200 meters and then relax and do that 8 times. And the next day, 6 times 400 meters, but not quite as fast. And you do that 6 times. And I've been working my way up to that. Last week, I did it and it felt great. I got both the 8x2 and the 6x4 done. So this morning I jumped on the treadmill to do my 8x2. And after the very first interval, halfway through the first 200 meters, it was really hard. And I'm like, geez, it's not going to work. And for whatever reason, running, a lot of it's in my head. So if I start to think I can't do it, it makes it even that much harder. So I finished the 200 meters and then I jogged, but I even slowed down even a bit more. And the initial thought, and this was the old me, the initial old me thought, I can't do it today. I don't got it today. So I was about to just continue on at the slow speed and turn, instead of my interval run, just do the same distance at the slow speed. And then I thought, no, do something. Something's better than nothing. Can you do 100 meters? So instead of 200 meters fast and 200 slow, what about 100 fast and 300 slow? And I did that. And it wasn't too bad. So I did it again. And it wasn't so bad. Then I did it again. And then I started to feel pretty good. So then I did 150 meters a couple times. And by the end, at least the last 2 or 3, I was back to my 200 by 200. I felt fantastic. I finished the run great. And I said to myself, I'm glad I changed. I'm glad now I'm going to do something rather than nothing, because instead of stopping and kind of failing now, I can get something done. And like today, I even got back to what I was supposed to do. It's me.
Yeah. Just let me say, flip side of the coin.
This is experiment number 2 on our Dear Flip Side segment that we're hoping to do once a month. And the idea is, it's not an advice column, but if our listeners write to us and say, hey, John and Sheila, what are your experiences about X or Y? We will talk about it, because that way you guys can help us come up with topics for Flipside. I wouldn't be surprised if people are asking us because they're curious. Maybe they're in some situation and they're curious what we do in that same situation. And
yeah, exactly. They do something, they want to know what we do.
What did you come up with for sample question number 2, Sheila?
Okay, here it is. Hey, Flipside. Whoops. I mean, dear Flipside.
Well, actually, I like Hey Flipside better.
Okay.
Let's make it Hey Flipside.
Okay. Hey, Flipside. You both seem a bit headstrong sometimes. Does it ever cause problems?
No, never.
Always?
It's been like the story of our relationship.
Oh my God.
Literally. You know what I'm going to do?
I think you're more headstrong than I am.
Do you want to argue about it?
Yeah. Yes, we can argue about that.
But you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to dig up, what do you call it? Not the engagement party, but the party you have before you get married. I'm going to dig up our Stag and Doe ticket, which I got a picture of.
That's a good idea.
Just to show, because that was back in 1986 or 7. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's a picture of Sheila dressed as a cave woman and me dressed as a caveman, and she's dragging me by the hair. Because that's what people thought about us.
I didn't have anything to do with that. I didn't know.
That's the point.
And they also made a cake like that.
Right.
It's kind of funny.
So I'll try and put that up. But like the point is, like, that's kind of the story of our relationship, that we're both headstrong. It is interesting, though, because there were a lot of really fiery, tense arguments in the earlier years.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore.
No, but
every once in a while, but
yeah, but we're definitely getting better at explaining our points. Like before it was kind of like, I'm right, you're wrong, just do it or deal with it or whatever. And I usually argue until I'm blue in the face, and you usually walk away. That's kind of how you deal with it. Like if John, and
I definitely talk louder. If I talk louder, then I must be right.
Yeah, exactly how that works. I don't know. But you'll often say something and then, you'll walk away, and I know that I have to let you ponder for a bit. And then you usually come back and you're much more sensible, and then we talk the point and figure it out. Yeah. You usually like, okay, I thought about it, or.
Well, I think one of the biggest things we've done over the years is we often don't say the thing that pops into our mind in that moment.
Yeah, that's true.
We've gotten a lot better at being like, oh,
I know.
I'm not saying anything.
I don't remember what it was, but there was something that I said something on my breath, and you were like, what did you say? And normally I would just say it, but I was like, nothing. I said nothing.
Because that is a little bit, because usually you're right. Like there's this fiery moment, because when you have two headstrong people, not stubborn apparently.
No.
You're not allowed to say that. But if you're two headstrong people, and also, you've got some people of Irish descent are a little fiery. You are one of those people.
Well, the Flanagan.
And whatever my descent is, there's a huge stubborn streak. So when you put that together, it's like the old philosophical question about the immovable force running into the unstoppable object.
Yes. What happens?
I don't know, but in our case, fireworks.
Yeah.
Fireworks.
Yeah, but then we usually calm down and figure it out. So,
I like to keep the quote list. I'm always talking about my quote list.
Yes.
One of the quotes on the quote list, I think, is from Terence, a Roman guy named Terence. And he says something like the arguments of lovers is a renewal of love. The quarrels of lovers is a renewal of love.
Right.
And I don't know, I do kind of feel that way. Like, yeah, we clash, but there's not that, like there's the being mad, but there's not the being now separate or pushing away.
Right.
I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, you care if you care that much. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's love if you care that much. If you don't, if you're like, whatever, who cares?
Yes.
Then.
But going back to the dear flip side question, the question that was something about, you're both headstrong. Does that result in issues? It does. And it's very entertaining. And if you are watching, because that we ultimately love each other and stay together, and it's not going to be us breaking apart, you can watch that scene and be pretty entertained by it. And if you talk to a lot of Sheila's brothers and sisters, or my brothers and sisters,
kids,
or people that know us, they'll all have little stories of the fiery tempers of the two of us, and pretty entertaining. Please remember that we're not providing advice. We hope to inspire you to work towards balance, and we urge you to consult with qualified people if you need advice. The people on the show are speaking in their personal capacities. Their views expressed are their own, and don't represent the views or opinions of their outside contacts, their employers, or anyone else. We try to get things right, but we can't guarantee everything we say is correct, or that the things we talk about will work for you. Let's be well together, and let's be sure to do that in a safe way. It is sign-off time, and it's John here with Elise and Sheila.
Hi.
Hello.
I definitely had a busy work week. Every day I went in that typical week that I always talk about where I go in to deal with items A, B, C, D, E, and F, and I never even get to them halfway through the day. So it's been really busy, but I want to talk a little bit more about the other side of it, which is social events. This week we did two things. On Friday night, we met some friends and went to a show in Cambridge. The Symphony Orchestra was doing some Valentine stuff along with a couple singers. And we had dinner and then saw the show at the Tapestry, which is a really neat venue. And that was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Also, I was at a law association meeting probably a few months ago, and I met somebody who just moved to town. And she said that her and her husband were, new. And I said, hey, well, why don't we get together sometime? So they actually came over for dinner last night. We were thinking it would just be kind of a quick dinner, get to know you, but we just had so many things in common. It was a long night and a lot of fun. Lots of stories. I'm really surprised how much I'm enjoying the dance lessons. So this is our third week, I think. And we added some more add-ons to we're doing Foxtrot, Waltz, and Mambo.
Mm-hmm. Mamba.
But she added something new to each of those, and that was fun. And like I said, I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying it. And lastly, remember for the Hey Flip Side. So we did our second test run on the Hey Flip Side on this show. It only works if people send in questions. So if you have questions for us, send them to letsbewelltogetherpodcast@gmail.com or go to our website, letsbewelltogether.com, and you'll find a link on any of the pages to our email. So if you send us questions, we'll talk about whatever you suggest. If you don't, I guess we won't do many Hey Flip Sides.
No, that's okay.
How's your week, Jill?
Oh, very good. I have been doing my push-up challenge every day. So I've been doing 75 push-ups, and last week I was doing 10 at a time, which means I was doing it 7.5 times a day. And I'm now doing 15 at a time. So I only have to do it 5 times a day.
Impressive.
Yeah. So I'm really happy with that. And I'm actually 15, it seems doable. Like I'm doing it. And I found it interesting because a few people who were listening to the podcast talked about doing push-ups and are you doing real push-ups? And, and I was like, oh, John, we should talk about that. There's so many different types of push-ups you can do, right? Runners push-ups and ladies push-ups and on your toe push-ups, your finger push-ups. I don't know. So I am doing real push-ups and I'm actually enjoying it and feeling like I'm getting stronger. So that's good. And it's been a very busy week with all these events that we've been doing. I also did a catering event this weekend and it's the Super Bowl. But I also wanted to just say happy Valentine's Day to everyone and sending out some love to everyone this week. What's up with you, Elise?
Well, it's been a lovely week. We had such a beautiful weather week, so I really tried to take advantage of that. And I actually walked home from work a few days this week. So that was really fun because Stephen and I live the one car life. He usually drops me off and picks me up. So I said, don't come get me. I'll just walk home. And it was great.
Wow, that's great.
How long did it take?
Only about half an hour. It's not very far.
That's great.
But it's all the way downhill or all the way uphill, depending on which way you're going.
It's all the way downhill on the way home. So it's lovely. That's why I'm okay with the way home.
Yeah.
It's a nice walk. And then I got to listen to some podcasts. So that was great. And I find I'm so much more energized when I get home as opposed to just getting a ride. And then I'm also continuing my strength training program. Just finished my week 2 and I'm feeling strong. I'm really seeing a great improvement in my planks, which is great.
Great. And are you doing a Valentine's event on Valentine's Day?
Not personally, but at school, we do celebrate Valentine's Day with my kindergarten students. And I absolutely love Valentine's Day for that age group. It's just so much fun. They all bring cards and treats and we decorate a bag and they fill the bag full of presents. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to celebrate that this year.
I'm glad you're doing the walk home because, as you know, I've been walking to work and really enjoying it. It starts my day off energized. So it's kind of neat. I think you'll find too, it's a really nice kind of half-hour break between school and home that by the time you get home, you're done school mode. And by the way, the people who came over last night, it was so strange. I had met the wife and I said, okay, well, if you guys are just coming back to town, I know when we moved to town, it was hard to meet people. So why don't we meet? It turns out that the husband grew up here, went to my high school, one year behind me, was in some shows that Sheila had remembered. Mm-hmm. And by the way, his sister lives about 3 blocks from you, Elise.
No way. Small world.
Yeah. So all these small world coincidences.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Hope everyone enjoyed the show, and we'll see you all again next week. Bye for now.
That is it for today's show. Please try and make wellness a priority.
You deserve it.
If you feel the need to talk to someone or ask for help, please do that.
Accept yourself for the person you are.
So long.
Adieu.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.